Researchers at UCLA spent 4 years studying American homes. What they found was uncomfortable. The average American household contains over 300,000 objects, and 80% of what we own is used less than once a month. Japan has known this problem and solved it for centuries. Not with storage systems, not with expensive organizers. With a method so specific and so complete that most households who follow it clear the majority of their home in 7 days. 10 steps, 1 week. No marathons, no overwhelm, no coming back to the same mess 3 weeks later. This is the Japanese method, and it is different from everything you've tried before. Method 1. Map before you move. Zenshin no Chizu. The first thing Japanese decluttering culture does, and the first thing most Western decluttering advice skips, is map before touching anything. Zenshin no Chizu, the map of the whole body. Before a single object moves, the Japanese establish 3 things: a clear picture of the current state, a clear picture of the desired state, and a sequence for getting from one to the other that respects how decisions work. This sequence is not arbitrary. It follows the psychology of decision fatigue, the documented phenomenon whereby the quality of human decisions deteriorates as the number of decisions made increases. Every object you pick up and evaluate is a decision. Every decision costs cognitive energy, and cognitive energy depletes. The Japanese sequence, refined and made globally known through KonMari but rooted in practices far older, orders categories from lowest to highest emotional weight. Clothing first, because clothing is personal but rarely sentimental, and the decisions are fast. Books and papers next. Kitchen and bathroom. Then miscellaneous items. And last, only last, sentimental objects. This order means your decision-making muscle is strongest when it matters least, and it has been trained and calibrated by the time it faces the hardest choices. The 7-day structure maps to this exactly. Day 1 is preparation and clothing. Day 2 is books and papers. Day 3 is kitchen. Day 4 is bathroom and storage. Day 5 is living spaces and miscellaneous. Day 6 is sentimental. Day 7 is the final assessment and reset. 7 days, 6 categories, 1 final pass. Before day 1, write the 7 days on paper. Assign each category to a day. This is your map, not a rigid rule, an orientation. Having it on paper reduces the cognitive load of deciding what comes next. The map does that deciding for you. The Japanese don't begin by cleaning, they begin by thinking. That thinking is not delay. It is the most efficient first step. Method 2. The question that changes everything, Nokoru mano. The second method is not a technique. It is a question. And it is the reason Japanese decluttering produces different results than Western decluttering. Nokoru mano, what remains? Western decluttering asks, what should I get rid of? This question activates a defensive posture. The brain, asked what to eliminate, begins constructing reasons why each object might be needed. It imagines future scenarios. It recalls sentimental moments. It overestimates risk and underestimates the cost of keeping. Japanese decluttering asks the opposite. What deserves to stay? This is not a philosophical distinction. It is a neurological one. The question of what to keep activates a positive, intentional response. You are choosing, not losing. The object must justify its continued presence rather than being protected from removal. Applied practically, pick up each object and ask one question. Does this actively serve the life I am living now, not the life I lived 3 years ago? Not the life I might live someday, the life that exists right now, in this home, with this body, in this season. An object that passes this question stays. An object that doesn't answer clearly goes to one of 3 destinations: immediate release, donation staging area, or the mochikomi hako, the holding box. The holding box is not for indecision. It is for genuine ambiguity, objects whose answer is unclear not because of emotional attachment, but because of genuine uncertainty about current utility. These go in a dated box. 30 days later, the box is opened. Anything you didn't think about, search for, or need in 30 days has already answered the question. Almost nothing comes back out. The practical rule: every object in your home is either earning its place or occupying it. The question clarifies which is which. Method 3, top to bottom, inside to outside. Naka Soto. The third method governs the physical sequence of the work, and getting this sequence wrong is one of the primary reasons Western deep cleans produce results that last 3 weeks rather than 3 years. Naka kara soto e. From inside to outside, the Japanese cleaning sequence moves in 2 directions simultaneously, vertically, top to bottom. Dust falls. Starting at ceiling level and working downward means you never clean a surface twice. Starting at floor level and working upward means everything you clean gets covered again by what you disturb above it. Horizontally, inside to outside, every closed space before any open surface. The drawer before the desk, the cabinet before the shelf, the closet before the room. This is counterintuitive. The visible surface looks like the problem. The drawer, closed, looks handled. But the drawer is where the actual disorder lives. A room can appear clean while holding significant functional chaos behind every closed door. The inside to outside sequence forces honest reckoning with the spaces we avoid. The drawer that sticks, the cabinet that requires strategy to open, the box in the corner that hasn't been touched since the last move. These spaces are not just storage, they are postponed decisions. And postponed decisions are where clutter regenerates. You can clean a room every week without addressing these spaces, and the clutter will always return, because its source is intact. The 5S methodology, Siri, Seiton, Seiso, Seiketsu, Shitsuke, begins with Siri. Sort. Honest sorting. Not tidying the visible surface, but opening everything closed and evaluating what's inside. For your 7-day plan. When you begin each day's category, start with whatever is least visible. The drawer before the shelf. The back of the closet before the front. The inside of the cabinet before the counter above it. The visible surface is the final step, not the first. Pattern interrupt. 3 methods in, and none of them have asked you to buy anything, organize anything, or spend a single dollar. That's intentional. The Japanese method is not a product. It is a sequence. Tell me in the comments which of the first 3 methods is the most different from how you've approached decluttering before. Keep watching. Method 5 is the one most people have never heard of, and it's the reason Japanese homes stay organized without effort. Method 4, 1 in, 1 out. Kokan no Gensoku. The 4th method doesn't apply to your 7-day declutter. It applies to every day after. Kokan no Gensoku, the principle of exchange. Every object that enters the home displaces one that leaves. A new shirt arrives, an old one departs. A new kitchen tool earns its place. An existing one is released. The volume of the home stays constant. The clutter has no mechanism for growth. This sounds simple. It is also one of the most consistently violated principles in Western consumption culture, because the acquiring moment and the releasing moment are separated by convenience. Buying is immediate and frictionless. Releasing requires decision and action. Without a system that links them, the releasing moment never arrives. The Japanese link them structurally. Before a new object enters, its destination is known. The exchange happens at the point of acquisition, not weeks later when the drawer won't close. There is also the 72 Junkan rule, 72 hours. When the impulse to acquire something non-essential arises, nothing happens for 72 hours. The object is not purchased. The desire is observed, not acted on. If after 3 days the object is still genuinely needed, the decision to acquire is real. If the desire has dissolved, as it does in the majority of cases, the acquisition was emotional rather than functional. Research on impulse purchasing consistently shows that 72 hours dissolves most non-essential purchase impulses without requiring willpower, because the impulse was situational, triggered by context, and the context passes. The practical application: before your 7-day declutter ends, establish your household one-in, one-out rule. Where does it live in your routine? Who is responsible? When the rule is structural rather than aspirational, it works. Method 5. Storage. Where life happens, Shonoma. The fifth method is the one that most directly separates functional Japanese homes from well-intentioned Western organization attempts. Shonoma, the space of use. Objects are stored where they are used, not where they aesthetically belong, not where convention places them, where your actual life, with its actual patterns and actual movements, reaches for them. The scissors that live in a desk drawer when you use them at the kitchen counter will migrate back to the kitchen counter every time. The phone charger stored in a bedroom drawer when you charge your phone at the kitchen table will live on the kitchen table. The jacket hung in a hallway closet when you remove it at the couch will land on the couch. This is not a failure of discipline. It is an accurate description of how human behavior works. We reach for things where we use them. When storage and use are separated, objects drift toward use every time, and the organized home slowly reassembles its disorder. The Japanese solution is to design storage around use rather than use around storage. The scissors live at the kitchen counter because that is where you cut. The charger lives at the table because that is where you charge. The jacket hook is at the couch because that is where you sit when you come in. This principle is called point-of-use storage, and it produces what the Japanese call the ichidosa rule, one action. If returning an object to its place requires more than one action, the system will collapse. One motion, one place, every time. This week, identify 3 objects that consistently end up out of place. Don't move the objects. Move their storage to where they actually live. The drift stops because the storage and the use are now the same location. Method 6. MA. The value of empty space. The 6th method is a philosophy. It is also the most countercultural idea in this entire system relative to how Western homes are designed. Ma. The intentional space between things. In Japanese aesthetics, ma is active, not passive. The empty space between objects is not where something is missing. It is where the eye rests, where the mind quiets, where the room breathes. It is as intentional as what surrounds it. Western design culture treats empty space as a problem. An empty shelf needs something. A bare wall looks unfinished. A counter with 3 items could hold 8. The instinct is to fill, and the accumulation that results is not experienced as excess until it has become overwhelming. Japanese design culture treats empty space as a resource. A shelf with 6 objects, properly spaced, communicates more clearly than a shelf with 20. A counter with 3 items is functional. A wall left bare grounds the entire room. The empty space does not diminish the objects around it. It elevates them. A study from Princeton Neuroscience Institute confirmed what Japanese designers have practiced for centuries. Visual clutter competes directly with the brain's ability to process information and reduces measured cognitive performance. The brain is not ignoring the clutter, it is actively managing it, and that management has a cost. The practical application of MA in your 7-day process. As you clear each category, resist the instinct to fill the space it leaves. The space is not a failure of organization. It is the result of successful decluttering. Leave 30% of every flat surface clear, not by calculation, but by restraint. When the surface looks full, remove one more thing. The space you don't fill is as important as the space you organize. Halfway through, I want to ask you something direct. When was the last time your home felt genuinely calm? Not just clean, but calm. If the answer is, I'm not sure, the next 4 methods are specifically for that. Leave a comment with the one area of your home where calm feels most impossible. The last 3 methods address exactly that. Method 7. The daily reset. Mainichi no Seiton. The 7th method is what makes the other 6 permanent. Mainichi no Seiton. The daily ordering. Not a cleaning session, not a weekly deep clean. A 10-minute daily reset that prevents the accumulation from ever reaching critical mass. In Japanese schools, students clean their own classrooms for 15 minutes every afternoon. Not because the school lacks custodians, because the practice builds a relationship with shared space that persists into adult life. The cleaning is not a chore. It is an act of respect for the environment and for the people who share it. A 2019 study from the University of Tokyo found that households who distributed cleaning across small daily intervals spent 40% less total time on household maintenance than those who concentrated it into weekly sessions, and their homes maintained measurably lower clutter levels throughout. The mechanism is simple. Clutter compounds. A single item left out of place doesn't stay single. It signals that the surface is available, which lowers the threshold for the next item, and the next. The daily reset breaks this compounding before it begins. The Japanese also practice nagara, doing things alongside other things. Waiting for water to boil, wipe the counter. Waiting for the coffee, return last night's items to their homes. Waiting for a file to load, clear the desk surface. These are not additional tasks. They are moments of attention given to the environment during time that would otherwise be passive. Your daily reset structure. Morning, 3 minutes. Make the bed, clear the kitchen surface, align the entry. After meals, 2 minutes. Dishes done immediately, table cleared, chairs returned. Evening, 5 minutes. Walk through the main spaces. Return everything that drifted. Reset one surface to 0. 10 minutes. The home that was decluttered in 7 days stays decluttered for years. Method 8. Every object has one home. Mono no Basho. The 8th method is not about organizing. It is about designing a system where organization happens automatically. Mono no Basho, the place of the object. In Japanese homes, every object has one specific location it returns to after every use. Not an approximate area, not a general zone. One exact location that is known, consistent, and requires minimal thought to return to. The scissors are in the 2nd drawer on the left, every time. The remote control is in the right corner of the coffee table, every time. The keys are on the hook by the door, every time. The effect of this consistency is not just organization, it is cognitive relief. The brain stops managing the location of objects. They are simply known. The daily search for keys, glasses, chargers, remote controls, these micro-frustrations that collectively drain significant mental energy, disappear. Research on decision fatigue shows that the average person makes approximately 35,000 decisions per day. Every search for a misplaced object is a cluster of micro-decisions. Where was it last? Did someone move it? Which room? That adds to this load unnecessarily. The designated home eliminates these decisions entirely. The Japanese apply what they call the 30-second rule. If returning an object to its designated home takes more than 30 seconds, the system is wrong, not the person. The path back must be effortless. When it is, the return becomes reflexive rather than deliberate. Implementation. For every category you've decluttered this week, designate one specific home for everything that remains, not an area, a specific spot. Write it down if necessary. Not permanently, just for the first 2 weeks until the body learns what the mind decided. Method 9. Problem zones and misfit objects. Muzukashii. Basho. Every home has them, the surfaces where clutter consistently returns no matter how many times they're cleared. The drawer that is reorganized quarterly and chaotic again within a month. The corner that absorbs everything without a clear identity. Muzukashii Basho, the difficult place. Japanese minimalism treats these zones not as personal failures. but as design problems. The clutter returns for a reason. The reason is almost always one of three things. First, the zone sits along a natural movement path, a place where the hand instinctively deposits what it carries. This is not laziness. It is efficient behavior. The solution is to install a designated receptacle at that location, a tray, a basket, a hook, that channels the deposit rather than fighting it. Second, the zone lacks appropriate storage for what consistently lands there. The objects aren't homeless because they're clutter. They're clutter because they're homeless. The solution is to create the storage they need at the location where they land. Third, the zone is absorbing genuine misfit objects, the things that have no clear category, no clear use, and no clear destination. Cables without devices, keys without locks, manuals for objects long discarded. For misfit objects, Japanese practice uses the Gimen Hako, the question box. All ambiguous items go in a single dated container. After 90 days, the box is opened. Anything you didn't search for, need, or think about in 3 months has been answered by your own behavior. Release it without guilt. Your life already told you it wasn't needed. This week, identify your 3 most persistent problem zones. For each one, diagnose the cause, movement path, missing storage, or misfit objects, and apply the specific solution. Do not treat all 3 the same way. They probably have 3 different causes. Method 10, the maintenance rhythm. Junkan, no Rizumu. The 10th method is what separates a 7-day declutter from a life that stays decluttered. Junkan no Rizumu, the rhythm of the cycle. In Japanese tradition, the home is not cleaned once and maintained. It moves through cycles, daily, weekly, monthly, seasonal, annual, each with a specific scope and purpose. Daily, the 10-minute reset. Weekly, one focused area, 20 minutes, rotating through the home across 4 weeks. Monthly, the hidden spaces, drawers, cabinets, the areas behind closed doors. Seasonal, a fast, intuitive letting go. What no longer fits this season of life, this season of the year, this version of who you are. Annual, osoji, the great cleaning, not just physical but intentional, the clearing that marks the transition from one year to the next. This rhythm is not aspirational, it is architectural, built into the schedule as a fixed structure rather than a response to crisis. Science supports the architecture. A 2018 study on habit formation found that new behaviors require an average of 66 days to become automatic, not 21 as the popular myth suggests. 66 days of consistent practice before the rhythm stops requiring decision and becomes simply how the week works. The 10 methods you've learned this week require 66 days of consistent practice before they stabilize. Not perfect practice, consistent practice. The reset missed one evening is not a failure. It is one missed day in a 66-day process. Return the next day and continue. Shitsuka, the 5th S, translates approximately as sustained discipline, but Japanese discipline is not punishment or rigidity. It is the patient return to standard after every deviation, not the demand for perfection. The commitment to return. Your maintenance rhythm. Daily, 10-minute reset, same time every evening. Weekly, one zone, 20 minutes, rotating. Monthly, the hidden spaces, 1 hour. Seasonal, one category, let go of what no longer fits. Annual. Osoji, the full reset. Write these in your calendar now, not as aspirations, as appointments. The 7-day declutter clears the home. The rhythm keeps it clear. 10 methods, 7 days. One home that works differently than it did before. Not because you bought anything, not because you found a better storage system or a more sophisticated organizer. Because you changed the relationship between you and the objects you live with. The map before moving, the question that keeps rather than removes, the inside before the outside, one in, one out. Storage where life happens, the space that breathes, the daily 10 minutes, one home for every object, the diagnosis of difficult zones. the rhythm that sustains it all. Each method is simple. Together, they form a system that has worked in Japanese homes for centuries, not because Japanese people are fundamentally different, but because the system is designed around how humans actually work, how decisions fatigue, how habits form, how space affects the mind. Your home reflects the decisions you've made about how to live. 7 days from now, those decisions will be different. Begin today. Not with the whole house, with one drawer. Tell me in the comments, which of these 10 methods are you starting with? Subscribe, because every Wednesday and Saturday this channel goes deeper into what Japan figured out about living well. See you next week.